The summer after graduation, a stomach cancer diagnosis hit me like a freight train. It was the same summer Khloe Jensen finally told me how she felt. Knowing I was on borrowed time, I broke her heart and told her no. By some miracle, I beat it. 6 years later, in a cruel twist of fate, Khloe Jensen was my interviewer. She cornered me in the men's restroom, her voice laced with a playful malice. "Nathan Price, how about we trade places? You beg me for a change, and I'll let you pass this interview." The second I saw Khloe's name on the interviewer list in the hallway, my first instinct was to make a break for the restroom. The last thing I expected was for her to follow me, backing me into the cramped confines of stall. "Khloe, this is the men's room," I hissed. "This is my company," she shot back, her words like ice. My eyes went wide. I'd spent 2 years fighting cancer, then fought my way back into a top university. For a while, I'd even felt proud of myself. But reality just slapped me across the face. In the years I'd lost, my peers had left me in the dust. "Let me out. I have an interview to get to," I pleaded. She was wearing a tailored pencil skirt that hugged her incredible curves. She deliberately adjusted the seam on her stockings, a ghost of a smile on her lips as she asked, "Like what you see?" I was like a deer in headlights, nodding instinctively before shaking my head in a frantic denial. "Oomph. You disappear for 6 years, completely ghost me, and you think I'm going to let you just waltz through this interview?" she said, closing the distance between us. The faint scent of orchids, her scent, filled the air. I tried to back away, but my back was already against the cold tile. Nowhere to run. "Nathan, what if we switch roles from back then? You play your part, and I'll pass you." "How about it?" "What do you mean, switch roles?" "What do you think I mean?" She was playing games with me. Before I could process it, she closed her eyes, tilting her chin up in a posture of complete surrender. Staring at her full, red lips, my mind went blank. I came here for a job interview and ended up trapped in a bathroom with the CEO. The sheer insanity of it left me paralyzed. The moment she closed her eyes, I didn't hesitate. I bolted. I knew what this was, revenge. I could still see the shattered look on her face 6 years ago when I turned her down. So fine, I wasn't doing this interview. The second I stepped out of the building, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Coward. Get your ass back here and finish the interview." I clenched my jaw and blocked the number. To say I didn't have regrets would be a lie. If I'd known I was going to live, how could I ever have said no to her? The memory of Khloe's devastation after I rejected her was a sharp, stabbing pain. The next day, I aced an interview with another company. But the scene in the men's room, the lingering scent of her perfume, refused to leave my mind. The awkward part was, my new company was in the same skyscraper as hers. I was on the 9th floor. She was on the 36th. Every day, heading to and from work was a high-stakes game of avoidance. Sure enough, in my second week, my luck ran out. I had a habit of staying a half hour late, always thinking, no way the CEO is working this late. But when the elevator doors slid open, there she was, head down, engrossed in a report. On pure reflex, I spun around to leave, but she was too fast, her hand shooting out to yank me inside. I'm 6'1", but the pull nearly sent me sprawling. In the chaos, she steadied me, her head pressing against my chest to stop my fall. "Easy there, giant," she murmured. The sudden contact stunned me. It took a full 3 seconds for my brain to reboot. When she realized what she'd done, her face flushed crimson and she sprang back, leaving a thick, static silence in the air. "You work on the 9th floor?" she asked, breaking the tension. "Yeah, I manage my voice tight. Learned your lesson this time." "At least you know to stay within my orbit," she said with a raised eyebrow, that old familiar narcissism back in full force. I pretended not to hear, staring intently at the floor buttons. When the elevator doors opened again, I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. I'd forgotten to press my own floor number and had followed her all the way down to the parking garage. "Sorry, I've got to go back up," I said, trying to make a quick escape, but she grabbed my arm. "I'll drive you home." She said it like it wasn't a request, then added, seeing the look on my face, "You struggle, and I'll scream assault." I had no choice but to get in the car. The ride was horribly quiet. I snuck a glance at her. Her face was a thundercloud. She was clearly fuming about something. The moods of a CEO were a goddamn mystery. At a stoplight, she slammed on the brakes. I lurched forward, nearly head-butting the windshield. "After graduation that year, why didn't you show up at UCLA? Do you have any idea how long I waited for you? A whole semester. She whipped her head around to face me, her eyes red-rimmed. She was right. We'd both gotten into the same school. But after my diagnosis, what future did I have to offer? Something came up with my family. I had to start college a couple years late, I said vaguely. You sure you weren't just avoiding me? She pressed. A bitter taste filled my mouth. Of course I was avoiding her. I'd heard she got sick herself after what I did. I'm sorry, Khloe. I was wrong back then. I apologize, I said, my voice muffled. She didn't answer. She just laid on the horn twice, then stomped on the gas, the car rocketing forward. When we finally got to my apartment, I unbuckled my seatbelt with a sigh of relief. Thanks for the ride. See you, I said, trying to sound casual. Instead of replying, she hit a button on the console. Click. The locks engaged. The air in the car thickened. Her gaze was cold as she spoke, her voice low and dangerous. Nathan, are you playing me? Was messing with me for 2 years in high school not enough? You want to keep it going? I was stunned. She was the one who confessed to me. How is this my fault? No, what are you talking about? I stammered. Nothing. Now I'm playing with you. She suddenly leaned in and bit my neck. It didn't hurt, but the sensation sent a tingling shock through my whole body. I froze, my mind a complete blank. Khloe, I started, but she cut me off. Me what? Did you get what you wanted, and now you're playing innocent? Just as my face was turning beet red, unsure how to respond, there was a sharp tap-tap-tap on the car window. Her expression changed instantly. She slowly lowered the window. Seeing it was Zoe, I felt like I'd been thrown a lifeline. I shoved the door open, scrambled out, and threw my arm around her. Babe, there you are. Zoe froze for a second, then caught on, linking her arm with mine. Honey, should we call the police? This feels like workplace harassment. Khloe got out of the car, her face dark, her eyes locked on Zoe. Her voice was ice. Who is she? I instinctively pulled Zoe closer, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flicker of raw despair in Khloe's eyes. A strange pang of regret hit me. After Khloe's car sped away, Zoe let out a soft sigh. Why don't you just tell her the truth about being sick? I kicked at a loose pebble on the sidewalk, my voice low. Playing the pity card just makes people hate you more. She didn't get it. Why are you so sure? What if she genuinely liked you? I was silent for a long time, my mind flashing back to sophomore year. We were playing truth or dare, and I ended up having to confess my feelings for Khloe in front of everyone. I was expecting to get shot down, but she walked over to me and whispered, I don't like you, but you can take my hand and lead me away from the crowd. Later, she started being seen everywhere with Leo Vance, the campus king, turning me into the school's biggest joke. Those humiliating memories were like thorns embedded in my heart. How could I risk pulling them out? The worst part was, the guy who dared me to confess was Leo himself. We'd been rivals for the unofficial title of Campus King, but his family had money and mine didn't. He was right. A girl like Khloe belonged with a guy like him. For the next few days, I went out of my way to avoid Khloe, but I overheard her employees talking in the elevator. Did you hear? The secretary said, Ms. Jensen is out on sick leave. No wonder we haven't seen her. Pretty people are always so fragile. I heard she has to go to the hospital every month. She's probably drunk enough herbal remedies to fill a bathtub. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Her illness. Was it because of me? I knew she wanted to get back at me, which was why she was so aggressive since we'd met again. But she didn't know that every time she got close, the feelings I'd buried so deep threatened to erupt. My only defense was to keep my distance. But when she added me to our old high school group chat and a reunion was announced, I found myself agreeing to go. I just had to see for myself if she was okay. At the reunion, everyone was curious about why I'd vanished after graduation. I just laughed it off, blaming family issues, and I let it drop. Then, our old class president sidled up to me. You and Khloe keep in touch, he whispered. I shook my head. Weird. She told me if you weren't coming, she wasn't either. As I was trying to figure that out, the door to the private room opened. Khloe walked in, elegant as ever, with a tall, confident Leo Vance right behind her. I heard he'd just gotten back from studying abroad. Seeing him, old memories flashed in my mind, and a familiar animosity rose in my chest. The room went quiet. A few people glanced back and forth between Khloe and Leo. Someone broke the silence with a teasing tone. Well, look who showed up together. I'd say that's more than just a coincidence. Another person chimed in, wiggling their eyebrows. Laughter rippled through the group. Totally. They were always together in high school. If they finally got together now, it'd be a long time coming. The comment hung in the air, and the chatter grew louder. Khloe glanced at me, the corner of her mouth twitching into a slight smile. She didn't confirm or deny it. Seeing the healthy color in her cheeks, I figured she must have recovered from whatever had ailed her. As the night wore on, the conversation turned to careers and success. Our class had been an honors track, so most of my classmates were doing well. And then there was me. I'd beaten cancer and gotten into a great college, but I was 2 years behind everyone. Whenever the spotlight shifted to me, I'd just smile awkwardly and change the subject. Every time the conversational heat got too close, Khloe would deftly raise her glass and start a round of toasts, diverting everyone's attention. I was silently grateful, but one eagle-eyed classmate wasn't letting me off the hook. "Nathan, everyone's drinking. What's a grown man like you doing with a soda?" He slid a shot glass full of whiskey in front of me. "Sorry, I'm on antibiotics," I said. The air went still. The truth was, while my cancer was in remission, my doctor's orders were absolute. No alcohol. It was a line I could never cross. "Nathan, you came to a party even while you're under the weather? That's dedication. I'll take this one for him." Leo smoothly picked up the glass and downed it, the picture of effortless grace. Khloe's eyes were fixed on me. A second later, she pulled a napkin from the dispenser and gently dabbed a drop of whiskey from the corner of Leo's mouth. "Thanks," he said. The tender look they shared burned my eyes. I couldn't watch anymore. Muttering an excuse about the restroom, I fled the room. I stood in the hotel's back garden, the cool night air and the scent of flowers calming my frayed nerves. Staring at the distant city lights, I mocked myself. Leo was handsome, came from a wealthy family. He and Khloe were a perfect match. What was I so upset about? I was the one who pushed her away. Just as I was lost in thought, I heard soft footsteps. I turned, and Khloe's exquisite face came into view, her red lips curved into a smile, her eyes practically shimmering with allure. I did some digging. "You're not married," she said, backing me against a wall, her scent enveloping me. "I can have a girlfriend, and could you stop appearing out of nowhere?" I tried to sound firm, but she cut me off. "Oh, guilty conscience." Her lips were so close they were almost touching mine, her breath warm on my skin. "Nathan, how many girlfriends have you had since we broke up?" "That's none of your business," I said, turning my head away, but she placed a hand on my shoulder, stopping me. She leaned in closer, her eyelashes brushing against my cheek. "What about me? I'm willing to forget the past. Can't you even consider me?" "Khloe, you're drunk." I reached out to steady her, but the hope in her eyes instantly curdled into scorn. "Scared of cheating? You weren't so concerned about that when you were playing games back then, were you?" I should have pushed her away, just like before. But suddenly, a wave of resentment washed over me. I grabbed her wrist, spinning us around, so she was the one against the wall. "Fine. If you're willing, why should I say no?" Her pupils dilated, the anger in her eyes melting into a hazy surprise, as if she never expected me to call her bluff. "All right then, let's see what I'm working with," she purred, her eyes smoldering as she leaned in for a kiss. My body reacted on pure instinct. My heart hammered, and then I shoved her away. Hard. Khloe stumbled back, a look of shock flashing across her face before it settled into a self-mocking smile. "You really haven't changed at all. Lure me in, then push me away. Use me up, and then wash your hands of it. That's not what I meant." I started, but before I could apologize, Leo's voice came from behind us. "What are you two doing?" Khloe turned and practically threw herself into his arms. She looked up at him and asked softly, "Will you stay with me tonight?" The question stunned both of us. A flicker of triumph crossed Leo's face before he quickly nodded. "Yeah." As they walked away, he glanced back at me, a smug, victorious smile that made my temples throb. I splashed my face with my hands, tried to cool down. It wasn't a surprise. Khloe always liked him. They were probably already together. After all, I rejected her. This was just her getting even. The next morning, I ran into Khloe downstairs. She had dark circles under her eyes and looked exhausted, like she'd pulled an all-nighter. Remembering she and Leo had left the reunion early, I spat my gum into a tissue and threw it away, annoyed. I pulled out my phone and saw a new message in the high school group chat. You guys know where those two went last night? Heard Leo spent the whole night at an internet cafe with Khloe playing World of Warcraft. She power-leveled a new character to max. Can you believe it? The message was deleted almost immediately, and then a notification popped up. Leo Vance has left the group. I looked up at the elevator. Khloe was rubbing her temples as she stepped inside, looking drained. What was she thinking? I understood her less and less. That afternoon, a call from Zoe pulled me from my daze. She was reminding me about my follow-up appointment at the hospital that weekend. Ever since I went into remission, she'd been more worried than my own dad, always saying she didn't have much time left and needed to see me stay healthy. After my appointment that weekend, I was heading out of the hospital when I saw a familiar figure around a corner. It was Khloe. What was she doing here? Were the rumors true? Filled with questions, I quietly followed her. I watched her enter a clinic room and crept closer, pretending to browse a pamphlet rack. Through the half-open door, I heard her voice, strained with frustration. Why is it only with him? Why do I only feel that intense need when I'm with him? With other men, I feel nothing. Doctor, is this some kind of sickness? Ma'am, this is a gynecology clinic. I suggest you see a psychiatrist or a neurologist. The doctor's exasperated voice drifted out, and I froze on the spot, my brain short-circuiting. That intense need she was talking about. It couldn't really be about me, could it? Did my rejection all those years ago give her some kind of psychological block? No wonder she'd been so hot and cold since we met again. I closed my eyes and slapped my forehead, feeling like the world's biggest idiot. But before I could sort through my thoughts, I opened my eyes and met Khloe's, a mocking smile on her face. She stood there, arms crossed, looking at me with contempt. What are you doing here? Seeing a doctor, I managed to choke out. In the gynecology wing, she asked, one eyebrow raised in amusement. I glanced around frantically. Is it possible I went to the wrong department? I tried to bolt, but she grabbed my wrist. Nathan, we need to talk. Taking a deep breath, I found my courage. Khloe, I know I messed up. Because I rejected you, you developed this block, and that's why. I paused, choosing my words carefully. But I can't be in a relationship that's just based on a physical need. And I can't do some kind of contract dating thing. But I can go with you to therapy. Maybe. You'll get better someday. And you can be with someone you really want to be with. She was so stunned by my speech that she just stared at me. After a few seconds, the shock in her eyes faded into a bleak disappointment. She looked down and let out a short, bitter laugh. You're that scared of being involved with me again? The orange light of dusk streamed through the hallway window, bathing her in its glow. She turned to leave, then stopped, her back to me. Don't worry. This sickness of mine has nothing to do with you. It's just a little problem I picked up from playing the field too hard all these years. Nathan, don't flatter yourself. Watching her walk away, I was filled with a confusing mix of emotions. It felt like we were tied in a knot so tight, I couldn't find the ends to even begin to untangle it. Late that night, I was sitting on the steps outside my apartment, staring at the moon, when Zoe opened her door and sat down next to me. Her face was pale, and I could tell she was fighting through pain. Hurting again? I asked. She shook her head. I'm fine. I told her everything that had happened at the hospital. She said it has nothing to do with me. I finished. Zoe sighed. From her perspective, you vanished without a trace, and when you came back, you pushed her away. You look like a total jerk, Nathan. Whose friend are you anyway? I said, half laughing. She stood up, brushing the dust off her pants. Life is short, Nate. Stop getting trapped in your own head. Some knots, you have to be the one to untie. As the door closed, it hit me. Maybe the real reason I could never believe Khloe's feelings were real was because of the self-loathing that took root deep inside me during chemo, hidden under a wig that covered my bald head. I tried to date since then. Once I worked up the courage to take off the wig, revealing my patchy, thinning hair. The flicker of horror in the woman's eyes stabbed me. She said all the right things, but her body instinctively recoiled. When we broke up, I was surprisingly calm. All I could think was, thank God it wasn't Khloe. In high school, I was vibrant, fearless. Cancer hadn't just wrecked my body. It had pulverized my confidence. I'd rather she hate me than see pity in her eyes. I hadn't run into Khloe for 2 weeks. It felt like she was actively avoiding me. Then, one Friday evening, I was leaving the office and saw her. A sleek luxury car pulled up, and an elegant older man got out. He slung an arm around her neck and pecked her on the cheek. "Baby girl, I missed you." Khloe dodged him with a look of disgust. "We just had lunch." Watching them, I scoffed to myself. So she wasn't lying. She really did play the field. This guy was old enough to be her father. Out of sight, out of mind. I turned to leave, but a hand grabbed my wrist. It was the older man. He stared at me, his eyes wide. You're the one. The man my baby girl has been obsessing over for years." I tensed up, expecting a confrontation. Instead, he just blocked my path, his voice full of excitement. "You're finally here. You're the cure for what ails her." "Dad, can you not be so embarrassing?" Khloe's face was scarlet. She rushed over, grabbed my arm, and started dragging me back into the office building. Her father was still shouting behind us. "Khloe, don't worry about dinner with me. Go on, tell him how you feel. Bring him home soon. Your mother and I want grandkids." She pulled me into the elevator and slammed the button for the top floor. The small space was suffocatingly awkward. Khloe's face was as red as a tomato as she stared at the floor indicator. When we reached the top, she dragged me out onto the rooftop terrace. The last rays of sunset bathed her in a warm glow, making her face even more beautiful. After a long pause, she finally spoke. "I admit it. Ever since you rejected me 6 years ago, I haven't been able to feel anything for any other guy, even though I know you only did it to win a bet. I was completely lost. Win a bet. That time you confessed to me. Wasn't at all because of a dare." Her voice trembled slightly. So she knew. I felt a flush of shame. "I'm sorry," I stammered. "I was young and stupid. You know how I was back then, so competitive. I once had an eating contest with Fat Tommy over who could eat more dinner rolls and almost put him in the hospital. The confession. Leo dared me to do it. You'd already turned him down, so I knew you'd say no to me. I was just trying to one-up him. I wasn't thinking about anything else." I thought I sounded sincere enough. I snuck a look at her, but her expression was cold, her eyes full of disappointment. She clearly wasn't buying it. "Nathan," she said, looking straight at me, her voice thick with emotion. "Did you really, truly, never have any feelings for me?" The question caught me completely off guard. Of course I did. In high school, I'd secretly kept the eraser she dropped. I pretended to be jogging past the track just to watch her run at the track meet. Those feelings had never gone away. But what right did I have to say that now? Just as I was about to speak, my phone rang. I pulled it out. The screen read Zoe. Khloe's voice was sharp. "Don't answer it." On some strange impulse, I hit the green button. "Hello, Nate, it's Zoe. She collapsed. Get to the hospital now." It was my dad, his voice frantic. My heart plummeted. I hung up and sprinted for the elevator. Khloe screamed behind me. "If you walk out that door, you will never see me again." I gritted my teeth and kept going, every step feeling like I was walking on broken glass. Zoe's condition was worse than I'd imagined. The doctor said the cancer was terminal. She didn't have much time. Looking at her, so frail in the hospital bed, I remembered the first time we met in this very hospital. She'd laughed and challenged me to a race to see who could get better first. Now, she barely had the strength to speak. She slept most of the time. In her rare moments of lucidity, she'd ask me to tell her about Khloe. I'd always brush it off, but it was like she could see right through me, and she'd just sigh. Then one day, I saw a message in the high school group chat. Khloe was going abroad for an advanced degree. Return date, unknown. Her only message was, might not ever come back. Then silence. For 2 weeks, I swallowed my anguish and stayed by Zoe's side. I watched the illness ravage her, forcing myself not to show any sadness. I'd wait until she was asleep, then pace the empty hospital corridors alone. Late one night, Zoe started hemorrhaging. Doctors and nurses rushed into the room, pushing me outside. As I waited, trembling, I pulled out my phone and saw, to my shock, that I'd sent 2 voice messages to Khloe at some point. My fingers shaking, I pressed play on the first one, a full 60 seconds. It was Zoe's voice, weak but smiling. "Hey, sister. Full disclosure, I'm just Nathan's decoy. You two are unbelievable. Neither of you has a mouth. It's so obvious you're crazy about him, which is why you think he abandoned you. All I can say is that Nathan is more stubborn than a mule. He's not a simple guy, but he would never intentionally hurt anyone. He told me once that he liked a girl so much The only way he could work up the courage to tell her was on a dare. He was talking about you, wasn't he? Anyway, I won't say more. I'm sick, I don't have long. You need to come back. Sometimes men are harder to win over than women. You need to come back and help me comfort him. Tears streamed down my face. I played the second message, 20 seconds long. It was Zoe's voice again, this time with a hint of a threat. Hey, if I wasn't sick, I would never give him up to you. If you don't come back, I'll haunt your ass. The hospital hallway was silent, except for my choked sobs. I slid down the wall, finally understanding that some missed chances last a lifetime. Zoe, just live a few more years. Not a lot, just a few. It's not like you don't get on my nerves sometimes anyway. Khloe's gone. If you leave me too, I don't think I can take it. I admit it, I'm weak. One of you has to stay with me. I was crouched against the wall outside her closed door, muttering to myself, my voice breaking. Suddenly, a familiar voice called my name. Nathan. I jolted. I turned to see Khloe, her hair a mess, beads of sweat on her forehead, sprinting toward me. The scent of her perfume mixed with her ragged breaths as she crashed into my arms. I'm back, she gasped. I'm not leaving. I'm never leaving again. I didn't have time to wonder how she got here. My arms wrapped around her on their own accord, holding her tight. All the regret, the sorrow, the longing I'd suppressed for years burst forth in a flood of tears, soaking the front of her shirt. Just then, the door to the hospital room opened. The doctor took off his mask. I'm sorry, he said, his voice heavy. We did everything we could. After Zoe's funeral, I walked around like a zombie. For days, I avoided Khloe's gaze at work, but I could feel her eyes on me, softer now, as if she were patiently waiting for me to emerge from the darkness. One day in the elevator, the world went black. I woke up on the sofa in Khloe's office. A glass of warm water sat on the coffee table. She was sitting beside me, her eyes filled with exhaustion and worry. You're awake. I tried to push myself up, my body feeling like it was filled with lead. She immediately helped me. This close, I could see she looked even more worn out than I felt, with dark circles and pale, bloodless lips. I thought you went abroad. Why are you back? I asked, my voice hoarse. She sat beside me, her voice barely a whisper. It was just a short business trip. I didn't have the energy to argue about the lies she'd told the group chat. I just closed my eyes, exhausted. Then I heard her say, Nathan, I admit it. I was jealous. So jealous I was going crazy. I just wanted to see you look sad over me, even for a second. My throat tightened. I finally found the courage. 6 years ago, I was sick. Cancer. She looked up sharply, her eyes wide with shock. I couldn't meet her gaze. Don't look at me like that. I'm in remission now. The chances of it coming back are probably small. The office was dead silent, the only sound the ticking of the clock on the wall. After what felt like an eternity, she choked out, I'm such an idiot. So that text you sent to Leo back then, it wasn't what I thought it was. Her words made me pause, remembering. After our SAT results came in, I got a text from Leo. I got into UCLA too. Looks like our bet's not over. I bet you I can get Khloe to confess to me before the end of first semester. Despite him, I'd texted back. I already slept with her. I win. I never imagined he would screenshot it and send it to her. No wonder she thought my confession, my rejection, everything was just to win a bet. So when you rejected me, it wasn't a win. It was to make my dream come true. Her voice was thick with tears, and my face was burning. All those stupid, childish things I did back then felt incredibly shameful now. Well, we were in confession mode. I might as well get my own grievances out. But you liked Leo, didn't you? I stared into her eyes, my voice colored with years of pent-up bitterness. Khloe instantly bristled, her voice rising. Who said I liked him? He was constantly pestering me. I was trying to use the situation to confess to you for real, and what do? You shoot me down. Her voice trailed off, her eyes welling up with tears. The truth is, before you even said anything, Leo came and told me it was all a dare. I didn't want to be a pawn in your game, but I still wanted you to win. That's why I hugged you. Why I let you lead me away. But you were with him all the time after that, I muttered. I was trying to make you jealous. She stomped her foot, her eyes red. After you rejected me, I thought you didn't care about me at all, so I started hanging out with him on purpose. I grimaced. Khloe, I was knocking on death's door. The second I was diagnosed, my only thought was how to push you as far away as possible. She slapped her forehead in frustration, her voice choked with tears. I guess I deserve this. My timing was terrible. A gust of wind blew through the open window, scattering papers on her desk and clearing away the years of misunderstandings that had tangled us up. After that day, Khloe didn't bring up dating. She knew I wasn't in the right headspace after Zoe's death. Her dad, however, became a regular visitor. Every time he came to see her, he'd swing by my desk, pulling gifts out of a bag like a magician. It started with imported fruit and fancy pastries, but then he started bringing bottles of Pappy Van Winkle and Macallan, piling them on my desk until my manager was too intimidated to ever ask me to work overtime again. Khloe went back to being the gentle girl I once knew. Every day, without fail, she'd wait for me to get off work and drive me home. We'd make small talk in the car, but the second we pulled up to my building, a visible tension would take over her. She'd say a rushed goodbye and practically flee, like a scared rabbit. I had no idea what she was so afraid of. One evening, watching her car disappear, I habitually knocked on the door to Zoe's old apartment across the hall. No answer, just empty silence. I closed my eyes, Zoe's words echoing in my head. Life is short. Don't get trapped in your own head. In that moment, a dam of emotion broke inside me. I sprinted down the stairs. At the corner of the block, I saw her, staring up at the moon. The pale light traced the perfect lines of her face. She saw me and looked confused. "What are you doing back out here?" I ran to her and pulled her into a fierce hug. Her body went rigid, as if she couldn't believe it was real. "Hold me," I said, my voice ragged. Her arms finally came up, wrapping tightly around me. "What's wrong?" "I'm sorry. And thank you for waiting for me." She laughed softly, her warm breath on my neck. "I've waited 6 years. What's a few more days? Whenever you're ready for me, just come find me. I'll be right here. I'm not going anywhere." I looked down at her beautiful lips and couldn't hold back any longer. I leaned in and kissed her. The soft press of her lips was exactly as I had imagined. Blushing, she led me into her apartment, her eyes full of a shy anticipation. "Are you sure about this? I've been holding back for 6 years. I might get a little feral." She said it while her trembling fingers worked on the second button of my shirt. When I didn't say anything, her hand paused. "Maybe we should wait." I didn't give her a chance to back out. I swept her up into my arms, carried her to the bed, and gently laid her down. I leaned over and kissed the hollow of her collarbone, whispering in her ear, "This time, it's my turn to never let you go." "Too late," she sobbed, her body shaking in my arms. Moonlight streamed through the window, which had long since moved across the sky. I used to think she needed my pity. Now I knew I had completely underestimated her strength. Her crying slowly subsided, and then she turned the tables, her voice still thick with emotion. "I was sick, you know. But you're all better now," I said, gently wiping the tears from her cheeks. She didn't say anything else. In the middle of the night, she bit down hard on my shoulder. I sucked in a sharp breath. "Khloe, are you getting revenge for back then?" She broke into a teary smile, her eyes still red. "Yep, now we're even." Seeing me pretend to retaliate, she quickly burrowed back into my arms like a playful kitten. The next morning, the smell of frying bacon woke me up. On the dining table, Khloe had used ketchup to draw a smiley face on a fried egg. A sticky note stood next to it. "Called you in sick for half the day. Love, your GF." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Then why aren't you going to work?" "I took the day off too," she declared, hands on her hips. "I have a very important date with my new boyfriend." But as she was driving me to my office later, a sharp pain lanced through my stomach. It had been a dull ache for a few days, but I'd told myself it was just stress. Now a cold sweat trickled down my spine. The thought I'd been avoiding screamed in my head. Is it back? I just found happiness. "What's wrong?" Khloe immediately noticed. I pointed to my stomach, the pain too intense for words. She wrenched the steering wheel, a car screeching as it changed direction, now speeding toward the hospital. She tried to stay calm, forcing a smile. "Don't worry, I'm sure it's nothing." But her knuckles were white on the steering wheel, her hands trembling. A 30-minute drive became 10. Check-in, waiting rooms, scans. She pushed me in a wheelchair from one department to the next. The summer humidity soaked through her blouse. Her bangs stuck to her flushed face, but she never let go of my hand. After the CT scan, I saw her standing with her back to me, hands clasped, whispering to the window. "Please give half of my time to Nathan." No, 2/3 is fine. I can't lose him. My throat closed up. So this was it. Fate hadn't let me give my time to Zoe because I didn't have any left to give. In the exam room, the doctor pushed his glasses up his nose, his expression grim. Khloe squeezed my hand, her cold fingers making my own heart sink further. When the doctor asked, "Was your last bowel movement?" I blinked, sure I'd misheard him. 3 or 5 days ago. A week. Maybe. 10 days. I mumbled, my face on fire. The doctor turned his monitor toward us. It showed a massive, dark shadow clogging my intestines. See this? It's all stool. Of course it hurts. You can't let constipation go this long without doing something. And you, he said, looking at Khloe, you need to take better care of him. Khloe coughed, her shoulders shaking as she tried to stifle her laughter. Yes, doctor. It's all my fault. The second we left the exam room, before the medication could even kick in, my stomach gave a violent lurch. Forgetting my pride, I threw a single weight for me over my shoulder and made a desperate sprint for the restroom, leaving Khloe laughing so hard she had to bend over. Afterward, I felt incredible, like I was floating, but the thought that Khloe had been right outside, hearing everything, made me want to crawl into a hole. I shuffled out sheepishly. She was looking at her phone. "What are you doing?" I asked, forcing the words out. "Oh, just ordering some bananas and dragon fruit on Amazon. They'll be delivered to your place in an hour." She looked up, the worry still in her eyes. "You're not going to work. I'm taking you home." I was too mortified to look at her. "It's just constipation. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. You can just drop me off at." Before I could finish, she threw her arms around me, holding me tight. "Khloe," I grunted, squeezed, breathless. "You scared me to death," she said, her voice muffled against my chest. "Seeing you in so much pain, I thought my heart was going to stop. We're getting you a full physical in a few days. From now on, I'm in charge of your meals. And you have to tell me the second you feel anything wrong. You hear me? We can't have any more scares." She hugged me tighter, as if afraid I might vanish. I was half annoyed, half amused. I ruffled her hair. "You goof. I'm fine. Let me take care of you," she said, looking up, her eyes bright and pleading. "Okay," I said, and leaned down to kiss her forehead. For once, fate decided to give us a break. The full physical came back clean. The doctor said because they caught the cancer so early and the surgery was so successful, my chances of recurrence after 6 stable years were extremely low. With a healthy lifestyle, I could live a long, full life. I bought a huge bouquet of red roses and went to Zoe's grave. She always said she only wanted red roses, so her grave would be the most stunning one in the cemetery. I quietly cleaned the headstone and sat down beside it, talking to her like an old friend. I asked Khloe to marry me. She said yes. "Don't worry, I'm going to live a good life. And I promise, next time, it'll be my turn to protect you. You're going to be healthy and happy, and you're going to wait for me to find you." A light rain began to fall. I looked up and saw a cloud slowly forming the shape of a smile. As I left the cemetery, Khloe was leaning against the car, her hair and shoulders damp. "There's an umbrella in the car. Why didn't you use it?" I asked, brushing the water from her hair. "You were in the rain too," she said, her eyes crinkling into a smile as she linked her fingers with mine. My heart skipped a beat. I leaned down and gave her a quick peck on the lips. "The county clerk's office should still be open. Let's go get her license. My makeup is ruined. Maybe tomorrow." She hesitated. "Nope, I can't wait another day," I said, pulling her into the car. "I'm making you my wife tonight, fair and square." Her cheeks flushed, but she started the car and headed for the courthouse. The clouds began to part, and sunlight poured through, painting a brilliant rainbow across the sky. I knew, without a doubt, it was Zoe smiling down on us from heaven, sending us her blessing.